Hello and welcome to the Static Traveller with me, James. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Static Traveller, the podcast where I speak to travellers of the past and the present from around the globe and let them tell you in their own words about their adventures throughout this amazing world. Now, today's guests are travel couple Yulia and Nacho. Did I get that right? Is it Yulia and Yulia? Is that right?
Yeah.
I couldn't have said
Yeah.
better.
So Nacho is originally from Barcelona, Spain, and Yulia, you are from Russia. Where about in Russia are you from?
Somewhere southeast, relatively close to Moscow.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
relatively close is like a super long night train drive. Yeah,
Yeah, but
for
for
them
us,
it's
relatively
relatively close. Yeah,
So, in terms of Russia, it's close.
Yeah.
Is it in the same time zone as Moscow?
So, yeah, it is.
Yeah. We'll class that as close then.
yeah.
Yeah.
That hopefully stays because you have like what 8, 10 time zones.
8, I think.
Yeah, in Russia.
That's
But
crazy.
it's still a central part of Russia, kind of.
I think that's absolutely crazy.
Mhm.
The amount of different time zones and just the size of Russia itself. Like in my dining room, we have got a map of the world on the wall. So instead of having wallpaper, the full wall's just covered in a map of the world. And my wee girl, every time we talk about Russia, because I test her on our countries. So every night, like tonight, I was sitting going through with her. I was saying to her, right, I'll name a country, and you tell me if it's real or if I've made it up. So, and every time we talk about like Russia, she's like, it's so big, and I'm like, yeah, it's massive. It's the biggest country in the world, isn't it? Russia.
I
Is
think
that
so.
right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's crazy. We like, for example, we celebrate like Happy New Year like 8 times or something. Or
Oh yeah. New Year's Eve, like makes sense.
You could just jump along all the time zones and have 8 parties.
Hmm.
By the time you hit the third time zone, you're gonna be pretty wasted, huh? From traveling and taking shots. So
8 years and one night.
yeah, exactly.
So why don't you guys introduce yourselves a little bit more? Tell everyone about yourselves, where you are from, in a bit more detail, and let everyone know about any social media things like that you have and where people can find you.
All right, we're gonna toss a coin to see who starts.
Yeah, I'll start then. I was born in Russia, and I spent my childhood there. And after I did my career, I decided to go and study abroad. And I really liked Spain. I just don't know why I felt kind of attracted to it, and I don't know everything: the weather, people, food. So I decided to go to Spain to do my master's in law. And after that, I stayed. It's been like 10 years now, or even a little bit more. Yeah, like lots of things happened over this period of time. And I quit being a lawyer, and I started to teach yoga.
Okay.
At some point, I met Nacho,
So at some point.
and yeah, and we kind of decided that both of us want to travel. Like we really like traveling, and yeah, like what was it, like six months ago or so? We finally,
Yeah. Right now, almost 6 months ago. Yeah, 5 days and 5 months and 30 days ago. Yeah.
yeah, we finally decided to go for it, and it was a really nice experience. But yeah.
Yeah, we actually took us a bit of thinking to leave out everything and quit our job and just go out and do this. Because
Yeah.
like both of us, we were living in Madrid. I was running an agency with a lot of people and a super good team over there, and it just well, that was something we wanted to do for a long time. Huh? Just go out and travel the world, but it took a lot of effort, a lot of just going a bit against the current, and actually quitting our jobs and just leaping onto the abyss, and just jumping onto it and going and starting the trip. Huh? Unfortunately, something named COVID came around, and we just had to cut off our traveling, and we came back to Spain like a month ago. So that's the story pretty much in a nutshell. Huh?
Yeah.
So, what? Sorry, wait. We've got Yulia, but what about you, Nacho? Why don't you introduce yourself a bit more?
Oh yeah, all right. My name is Nacho, and I was born in Barcelona. At the age of 15, I went to study college in the States. Came back to Barcelona, started working, and did my bachelor in business administration. Then got on to doing marketing and advertising and so on. And like almost it was 2012 we started a media agency in Madrid, and it was until 2019, 7 years that we were running operations there and just having fun. And I was traveling a lot also, but only for business purposes. So it's not the same. Huh? You get to see the taxi, you get to see the business meetings, offices, airports, some airport lounges and restaurants, and that's about it. Huh? You don't get to actually mingle much with the locals or ride around the country or anything like that. Plus it was a bit of Central America, South America, and mainly also Europe. So it wasn't traveling to countries like Asia where we've been traveling these past months. So yeah, that's me.
You were talking there about planning for quite a long time. So,
Yeah,
what went into your thoughts? To decide what did you have to consider before quitting jobs and saying, right, we're going traveling. What did you have to think about there?
that's a very good question, actually. Uh, a shit ton stuff, I would say. A lot of things we have to consider. Going from monetary issues to actually where we would see ourselves in the future. Also, I mean, you have to process all this also through your heart, because if you only put your mind into it, you never leave. Yeah, you think always that you want to do it, but you just stay and stay in your comfort zone and just continue with your job and in a comfortable situation where you get paid every month. And we actually consider that. We considered we spoke with friends, family, and the whole drill.
Mhm.
And how do you actually go about planning for something like that? So, you're talking about money aspects and things like that there. How do you plan on making an income? Were you planning on working when you were traveling, or um,
No, actually, we didn't. No, right? We didn't
No,
at the end. I mean, being a yoga teacher, like one of the best parts is if you can actually work from like all over the world. Like I can also teach like online classes for my Spanish students, and I can work on the studios anywhere that we go. But at the end, no, I think like that we realize that the journey itself is like so time consuming, and there are so many things to do, to plan, and to actually get to enjoy. So no, we didn't. But maybe if the journey will last longer at some point, we will, yeah, do something.
yeah,
But what I realized, like we met so many people along the trip, and when you live like in the city and have like an office work, you kind of live in a bubble,
mhm.
and you think that that's the only reality you've
yeah,
got. But once you are out there, you realize that there are so many different ways to do it and to make it happen, and like people for whom traveling is completely normal, and then they somehow manage to do it in such so many different forms. So that was for me, that was a, I don't
Yeah,
know,
like at the
something I
beginning,
learned.
yeah, definitely. At the beginning, we were actually surprised when we saw people when when we had been traveling for like 2 weeks. It was for us like, oh, it's already been 2 weeks, and we kept on meeting people that had been traveling for like 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 months, and we were like amazed, like we were kept on asking them, how is it, after 2 months traveling, how do you feel, what's your reality, what's your
Yeah,
day to day, and I don't know, it just the as weeks go on, your mindset starts shifting a little bit, like I personally started the trip wanting to do a lot of things every day, like I was still, I would say, on the tourist mindset, you like me, all my life I've had at the most like a couple of weeks of vacation a year, so at the end you want to do as much as you can in those 2 weeks. But when you start traveling and you have a longer term to actually travel, you start taking things on a different scale, you see things differently.
yeah. I mean, because sometimes you can think about it. Like you say with vacations, most people or some people can end up going and being more burnt out on vacation than they would be at home. Because they're trying to do that much within that short space of time.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly.
So I mean, how do you then step out of that mindset? How do you say, right, okay, we've got all the time in the world, or do you have all the time in the world? Is it something you say I'm going to be in this country for so long? There's
Well,
this amount of things that I want to
in
do.
yeah, in the 5 months that we've been running around, like we had some plans. Like I'm an Excel freak, yeah. So I had like a list of places to actually visit and see, and also Julia was doing some Google Maps pinning, So at the end, we had a lot of stuff to see, and as I was saying at the beginning, the first weeks it was like rushing around from place to place and wanting to see everything that we had planned. But like eventually, you start mm, getting worn out of all these tourist. I want to see everything envelope, and you just
Yeah.
start enjoying what you see and going more like step by step, I would say.
You
And
start to experience and submerge yourself in the culture, and it's about the change of mindset.
Yeah.
What
yeah,
is
exactly.
that what you found more difficult to start with?
Like this nomad kind of lifestyle, it's completely different, no? And so you're kind of starting to get it while you're traveling,
Yeah.
and it's just different mindset. And I remember like that the first month of traveling, or maybe the second, we did so many things already, like lots of stuff. And then we met a couple that was like, oh, we're also traveling for a long period of time, blah blah blah. And we were like, what did you do so far? And this always been like 2 months for them. Oh, and they were like, we've been to Goa. And I was like, these people are crazy. I mean, the point is that you see as much as you can see. But like 2 months later, we got there.
Yeah, like we were still on we need to see everything everywhere we go mode, and yeah, eventually that's like we saw those two stages. Like in India, for instances, we like were there for like 2 months, and we traveled around the whole, not the whole country because it's huge, speaking about big countries, but we have a lot of places. But then within India, in Goa, we spent like 2, 3 weeks there almost, and then in Thailand we spent like 1 month in one island. So we actually did these two traveling styles within the same 5 months. Sometimes we were just having like more of a monotony day-to-day thing that we would wake up. Julia would go to her yoga practice. I would go to practice Muay Thai actually in Thailand, and then we'll meet up for breakfast. We have kind of a day-to-day, yeah, like a routine, exactly. And
Yeah.
whereas on the other hand, in other countries like in India or in Nepal, we would be like moving around a lot.
So do you adapt your approach to each country? So for each country, you're saying about Nepal. You're talking about you were doing a lot more, whereas in Thailand you were kind of doing your own thing. You were looking at more of a structured lifestyle. So do you think the country depends on how you then approach your own mannerisms? What you actually do.
I think it's also like more on your personal experience. For example, both of us already been to Thailand and Nepal. We decided, and Nepal was at the beginning of the trip, so we were like full of energy and we wanted to do a trek, and we did. We went up like what was it, like 5,400 something
16
meters.
meters, yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that the Annapurna circuit?
Annapurna
Yeah,
circuit. That was
that's
Yeah.
exactly.
exciting. Yeah, so when we got to Thailand, like 3 months later, we were exhausted. First of
Yeah,
all,
yeah,
we've been there before, and we really missed, like, yeah, that having the routine. Me, were really missing like doing my yoga practice every day. Nacho's kind of dream was to practice Mauy Thai because he started practicing like not long before we started the journey, so he was really into that thing. So we decided just to stay there for some time, like have a home and
yeah.
do all that kind of things.
I
So
think
what?
it depends on how you actually approach the country. It's like one of those select your own adventure books, from back in the days. You can select whether you want to just go hopping from place to place and seeing a lot of stuff, or you can just relax and do more of a routine. Yeah.
So talk to me a bit more about the culture there surrounding the Muay Thai. So I know here, I myself as well. I've done a bit of Muay Thai.
Oh yeah.
I trained through a gym called Som Kai.
Okay.
So if any of the guys are listening, big shout out. So they started a gym in my hometown, or where I'm living, and I done it to get fit before my wedding.
Okay.
Um, but and it really does work. I mean, I lost 4 stone
Oh yeah.
prior
That.
to my wedding. I
It
never
might.
done any fights or anything at all, but
Huh?
the training itself is so intense.
Yeah.
What's that like? Because you're saying you've trained outside of Thailand, but then you also trained in Thailand as well. What was the difference like there?
Well, it's not like I'm a Muay Thai warrior. I mean, I've been doing Muay Thai for like put together in my whole life like 2 months, So, but definitely, I mean, if you get fit in Scotland, imagine doing that same training or even more intense in Thailand with humidity and hot weather.
Yeah,
I mean, I've never been sweating so much in my whole life, huh? Like I lost like several kilos, and I'm like pretty skinny guy. I lost several kilos in the first like 4 or 5 days of training, because you have to be skipping for like several minutes before you start, and only the
yeah,
skipping part was good enough, to get you going. And what I saw, at least, the difference from Spain and from Bangkok, where I went to one class, and then in Copanhan, which was the island we were at. Um, it's the way they teach you. They completely were super obsessed with technique and how to build the technique from the basis and go upwards. Whereas in Spain, yeah, they would teach you some technique, but I was in a ring fighting with someone like almost on my first week of training. In Thailand, that didn't happen at all. In Copanhan, at least.
okay. So and Yulia, with you and your yoga, you said you can take that really anywhere. You know, is it something that you travel and you show to others? Is it something you do over the internet, or do you try and gain classes wherever you go, and or do you just like go out and do it in the park kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah. Also, the other like best part about yoga is that just you don't need anything. Like you may need your mat, but if you're in the park or on the beach, you can like do it just without anything else at all. So yeah, for me the important part was during the trip is trying to maintain my own practice because it's very important for me. But also like studying, and I started missing yeah, studying classes or teaching like at the end of the trip. But while we were there, as I said before, there was just too many things to handle at the same time. So yeah, yoga was like I was more concerned about my personal practice than something else.
And what about Nacho? Do you show him how to do it?
Sorry.
Do you make Nacho join in? Do you show him how to do the yoga?
Yeah, sometimes he join when he's nothing better to do.
My flexibility is not one of my abilities, huh?
No, but you gain a lot during doing Mauy Thai.
Yeah,
It's
actually,
all
that
practice.
was true. Like, I've never been able to touch my toes. As in
Mm.
that's the amount of flexibility that I have. And actually, after doing Muay Thai for 1 month, I could almost stick my fingers underneath my toes. So that's only from stretching at the beginning of the class and being all warm up from the heat and the warm weather in Thailand. So
Mm.
definitely.
So on the build up to before you started going, you're traveling.
Come again?
What was it that gave you the push to then say, right, this is it, we're going to do it now? What was the defining factor?
We kind of thought now or never.
Yeah, actually, like one day we want to have kids, so at the end we didn't have any kids, any mortgage, so it was the point to do it uh, for a long period of time. So that's why we wanted to do it for 1 year, and actually, I mean, I'm pretty sure it can be done, but with like really small kids, that would be complicated, and we just had the freedom to actually do it. So that was we thought that it was the time to do it.
Yeah, well, there are like lots of ways to travel with kids, even the really small ones. We saw lots of
Yeah, yeah.
people doing it, and yeah, we just wanted this experience also like for ourselves. It's a different kind of experience for sure.
Yeah, because I know, like, I see these people on Instagram and things like that do traveling with the children, and I've been reaching out to some of them to try and get them to come on because I'd love to hear about how they manage, you know, from everything down to how do they make sure that they've got everything they need, to how can they guarantee where the food and that's coming from, I think it'd be really interesting to hear, how they actually plan for that.
Yeah, the
Um,
logistics and everything behind it. There's actually a family, like they're Argentinians, and it's like I don't even remember their name, but they have maybe like 5 kids or something like this, and they've been traveling for like the past 19 years, something like this, and the older kid just like went to college, so he stopped traveling only because he started going to college. So I mean that has to be complicated to manage around, but it has to also be beautiful.
And I was really inspired on this documentary. I
Oh
think now
yeah,
it's on Netflix. Do you know
yeah,
how it's
yeah.
called?
No.
No, anyways, it's about a family. Like they're like two no, the couple, and they both surfing, and then they have two kids. Like one, I would say, like 4 years old or something, and then a little baby, and they were traveling with a van. And the documentary is amazing. Like the picture and stuff, it's just so beautiful, and they were doing great. And I was like, wow. But I guess like also there's what is not on a documentary, like the other part, like how like 4 people can manage in a van like for every day, like for
Yeah.
what 1 year, or I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
for
yeah.
how long they've been traveling. Yeah, but we really like this one, and that was an given. Yeah,
Given. That's the
this
name of the
one
documentary.
really good one. Really recommend it.
I'll have a look for that. You can send me the link over for it, and I'll have a
Yeah,
look
definitely.
at it. Now, I had a question there for you, Nick. I was going to ask you it 2 or 3 times, and I keep forgetting what it is.
We can go on and speak about millions of things. Huh? I mean, 5 months of traveling actually do provide for a lot of
Yeah,
interest.
so
Shopping.
let's talk a bit about that, because obviously you've done a fair bit of travelling in 5 months. So I mean, just having a look, some of the places you've been to. So you've been to Myanmar, Copenhagen, Bangkok, Goa.
Yeah, if we basically in the 5 months went to Russia, I have to say, yeah, we always discuss whether Russia was part of the trip or not, because we actually just went there for like 5 days to
See my
say
family. We
hello to
didn't
her
do
family.
like any traveling or stuff.
So yeah, that would be we went to Russia, Nepal, where we did the Annapurna circuit, as we were talking about before,
Yep.
with Torong La Paz, 5,416 meters.
Yeah, guys, I never did like nothing like this before,
Yeah.
and we decided to start with like 5,000 meters and with a backpack and stuff. Like the first day, I was thinking, if only I knew that it's going to be like that hard,
Like
I would never do something like this.
she
But that
had
was
never done any trekking, none at all,
very
and that
enjoyable.
was her first experience. Just 12 days, like from 7 or 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. walking the whole time.
Cold.
And how did you find it? Did you enjoy the trek, or is it
Oh,
something
it's
you're glad you've done? But
very much. It's beautiful. I never expected Nepal to be like this. It's really green, like lush green, different kind of how do you call it? Like pictures.
Yeah, different types of landscape.
Yeah, landscape, and yeah, we really liked it. And it's hard, and at the same time, it's very like when we done it, it felt like wow, like I achieved something. That was so I cried and everything.
Yeah, the last day we actually
That was tough.
had to wake up at like 4:30 or 5 a.m. and we started climbing up. It was completely pitch black night. You couldn't see anything, and we had the the headlights on, and it was just climbing up, and you were actually feeling like an astronaut because you couldn't breathe completely right because of the lack of oxygen. And I mean, it was tiring, but we made it. And after 12 days of just walking and walking, I mean, it felt like a huge accomplishment for us.
yeah, I mean, we do, myself and my wife and my wee girl, we do quite a lot of hill walking here. In Scotland, we're blessed with many Munros and countryside, and we've got different walks like the West Highland Way and things like that, where you walk from basically Glasgow to Inverness. So it's like walking half the country. Um, but yeah, I mean, I know that personally, if I ever got the chance to go to Nepal, sorry, and do the Annapurna circuit, I mean, it would just be amazing. It would be absolutely breathtaking, because it's one of these things that
It
you
was,
always see in
yeah.
movies and things like that, but to actually go and experience it, it must be something special.
And there are a lot of different tracks on Nepal, and there are like people then just come back every year
Yeah,
and do
yeah,
different track,
yeah.
and
We
yeah.
we met a lot of people that were like repeating trips to Nepal just because they like the trekking so much. Also, another thing that for me was amazing was the fact that we were like with small backpacks because we were traveling with 40 liters backpacks for the whole 5 months, and those were the backpacks that we were trekking with. And we saw people that had like the same size backpack that we did, and they also had porters carrying them huge backpacks that they had on top of the one sized backpack that they had with the same size as ours. And those porters, they were amazingly strong local people, because I mean,
Walking
we
with
were,
slippers.
yeah, they were walking, some of them with slippers, with flip flops, and it was snowing, and there was huge landslides, and it was cold, and they were just like walking around with basketball shoes, some of them as well, and with like jeans, and like not proper clothing or anything like that. So it was like, to see people carrying that much weight with that equipment, it was like, okay, then we gotta finish it ourselves, huh? If they're able to do it, but they're actually like machines, these guys.
Yeah.
So how do you actually, you're saying you're carrying 40 litres worth of your possessions, 40 litres worth of, this is what you're living on.
Yeah.
How do you pack for every different situation, so how do you decide, when you're first leaving, you say, right, okay, we're taking one backpack each and that is it.
Yeah.
How do you decide what to put in there?
Well, actually, watching a lot of YouTube videos myself, I did like extensive research also on the backpack selection as well. Yeah.
Do I want to do? Yeah.
My pitch? No. The thing, actually, we had like kind of a drawback, which was that we were going to do the trekking, which required really warm clothes and all type of technical equipment, and we were also going to stay for a long period of time in tropical atmosphere and tropical weather. So at the end, we had to have a little bit of everything, and that was something that was pretty complicated to actually introduce in only one backpack. But after we finished the Nepal trekking part, we sent like a box of stuff back home with like the boots and a bit of heavier equipment that we had.
Yeah, so that was my next, the next thing I was going to say. So, say when you're out and about and you're buying lots of stuff, lots of souvenirs and things like that, because yeah, although you're doing it for a long time, a lot of these places you're only ever going to be once. So you want to take momentums, souvenirs from that kind of thing. So, what do you do when you get to that point where you can't fit any more in your bag? Are you just packing it up and sending it home?
Mm,
I don't know. Actually, that was the perfect excuse for us. Every time everybody wanted to sell something, because like it happens all the time. We were like, we have these very tiny backpacks. We cannot put anything else in it. But I don't know. I guess we're just not this like souvenir kind of person. Like both of us, we didn't buy anything.
No, we didn't get any souvenirs. Really, it may sound strange, but at the end, we were living with the clothes and the backpack and everything that we had with us, and that was it. And if anything was going into the backpack, something had to get out, because there wasn't space, So that was the issue. And for example, on the way, we lost some items like swimming suits and stuff like that. So then we were kind of forced to buy another swimming suit, and that was actually the way. And if we had to buy some item, that some small thing, we crammed it in there how we could.
And for sure, you realize you don't need
Yeah,
much.
that was a huge realization, actually, to understand that you can live for a full year with like,
Three
two,
t-shirts.
yeah, well, more like five, but like five t-shirts, three short pants, a couple like,
Bikinis.
yeah, a couple bikinis, swimsuit, towel, and pretty much that was it. Sweater, and a jacket, raincoat, not much more. So that's a huge realization that you actually, it hits you, because you think, hey, I have so much stuff back home, and I'm only using this
Yeah.
specific amount of items. Why the hell do I have so many more things back home?
So when you left, okay, when you started, your journey, how did you decide where you were going first?
How did we decide to go, where to go first?
Yeah.
Good question. We actually thought about, like, we redid the itinerary 1,000 times. Huh? Like first, like our first stop was Ethiopia in some of the itineraries we did, but I don't know. We finally
Chasing the summer, I would say.
exactly,
A little bit.
Chasing in the summer.
yeah, a bit to actually like not to be in specific places when it was wintertime, and not to be in like mid rainy season in some places.
Yeah, because we were supposed to, like, right now, like even a little bit like before, like 2 months earlier, we were supposed to be in Australia and New Zealand before
Just
it
now, you're supposed to be there.
called. For now, no, yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
I would say, yeah. Yeah, and then we were thinking to do a little bit more of Southeast Asia, and then to go to South America when it's better
yeah,
weather. Also, because right now it's starting winter.
yeah. That was our remaining
Plan,
itinerary.
yeah, the original plan.
So how long were you planning to be travelling for?
One
1 year.
year.
1 year.
Yeah, it was 12 months, 12 countries. That was the idea.
When we realized that we have for some countries like 1 month, it's impossible. Like India, for example.
Yeah,
But then, for example, Bhutan, 4 days more than enough.
yeah.
Depends.
Yeah. So how far did you take your planning? So when you decided you set out an itinerary, places that you want to go, things you want to see, But how far did you take your planning with like how where you're going to stay? So how did you decide where you were going to stay?
Stay as in sleep or stay as in the
Yeah,
city? Actually,
Go with the flow.
yeah, many times we were just like walking around and just going downtown and asking people and looking for a place to stay. Some other times, I mean, it, I used to be a bit of a control freak, but once you start traveling for a while, like stuff, coincidences start happening. You may meet some people that have been exactly 1 week ago to the place you are heading to now, and they actually suggest you to go to a hotel, and they tell you that you should go eat at this restaurant or you should go do this trek. So stuff like
Like,
this
or
start
something,
happening.
for example, that wasn't on the list, but all of a sudden you meet somebody who says like that's a like an unbelievable spot. You really need to go. Best surfing, yoga, or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, you just need to change.
Yeah.
And I suppose you've got to really lean on others as well for experience, and there'll be people that have heard stories from you guys, or there'll be people listening to this and say, right, I need to go to where they've said, you know.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
it's important that we've got a network that you can lean off other people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So so for traveling, obviously your plans were cut short, due to the whole pandemic, the COVID-19. So what kind of impact does that have on you guys for the future for your traveling? What's next? How do you go back to it?
Right now, we feel there's a lot of ifs on the air. Huh? In Spain, it's still not clear when the airports are going to be opened again for foreign traveling. Also, the IATA, the International Airline Traffic Association, they have a website that we were actually checking as if it was the stock market, like every 5 minutes. The last week we were in Myanmar to actually see what countries we could go to. There's many restrictions right now. There's also restrictions waiting on the fact that we have been in Spain, since it's a country that's been really affected by COVID. So we'll see. Right now, we're just living the moment, being the present moment, and that's it. If we get a chance, we would love to
We would
continue
love to,
traveling. Yeah.
So what happens when you come to the say, for example, we come to the end of your year that you had planned, and we've not been able to restart the travelling? is that an end for you guys then, as far as this journey goes? Do you then look at planning for the future for a next journey? Or what's next?
I don't know. Really, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Depends on how long this situation will last and where it actually will leave everything, because there are like lots of rumors over there, like in between travelers, like that the tourism is not going to be the same thing as it used to be. Like that, lots of countries will be much more protective, and yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll.
I've been reading lots of studies and projections from consulting companies about the future, and I've been listening to webinars, reading articles about tourism and how is it going to be in the next upcoming months. And like, if these big companies really don't know what to say about this, or actually just making projections, so it's a
Yeah,
difficult situation or a difficult time actually to travel right now. But if we can find some way to do it, we'll definitely do it.
yeah. I mean, I hope he's definitely get back out there. The last couple I had on last week's podcast, the Country Diggers. We had Shahin and Vivian. Sorry, I nearly forgot there. They guys were, they were cruise ship workers.
Okay.
So I was actually speaking to them about, how they thought the change or how it was going to impact, their cruise ship business model, going forward, and if they think that travelling is going to be the same going into the future, and like you say, it's so difficult to predict. I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen next.
Yeah, correct. If you meet
Um,
someone that knows what's going to happen, please introduce it to us. Huh? We'll be glad to talk to him or her.
so there's a couple of questions that I do like to ask people,
All right,
and just straight out questions, because I love hearing these answers.
fire away.
So, um, when you've been, traveling, you must have one breathtaking moment where you thought, "This is why I'm doing this." What's your most breathtaking moment?
There are so many. A flight to Bhutan. Yeah, a flight to Bhutan is really an experience itself. It like actually the thing that makes the whole trip worth it for me, because first of all it's beautiful, and second of all it's like just a roller coaster. And that's, I don't know if you can explain it any
It's
better. Breathtaking
supposedly
experience.
is the most dangerous airport to land
Wow.
on. The one in it's Paro, right? I
Yeah.
think, yeah, Paro in Bhutan.
There are like
And
eight pilots that actually
yeah,
can land there.
exactly. Only 8 pilots are like allowed to do that in the whole world. The
Well,
thing is, it's completely crazy. Huh? Like you have to go. Like there's a couple chains of mountains, and you have to follow them and just go down really fast. And it's scary. Yeah, like I had a glass of water in my hand, and I actually emptied the water on top of the, I don't know if it wasn't you or the other lady that was sitting with us, but at the end, like it's pretty scary, yeah, because there's it's bumpy because there's a lot of currents and thermal issues with the altitude, with a lot of the peaks that you have to cross through Nepal to get to Bhutan, and also the sand is like very quick, and you are really close to a lot of houses that are next to the runway on the airport, huh?
And once you arrive to Bhutan, it feels really special, like because there are like several planes that got there like the same day. So you got there, there is nobody there, and like all the people like taking their time, taking pictures with an aircraft, and like everything you can see around. It's different and it's nice.
Yeah, it's like
It
it's a
feels like.
beautiful ride if you're not afraid of planes or if you're not afraid of flying, because It is bumpy.
And what about, for your most breathtaking moment? One of my other favourite questions is, there must have been one time that you've been, the scariest moment.
No, I don't know.
Mm, mm,
Have you ever been scared or,
well, there's been obviously there's some moments when you're actually walking around at night in a city that you don't know really well. Well, you actually don't know at all, and you don't really know if you're in the wrong neighborhood at that time. And some moments you feel uh, a bit of tension, yeah, but
No, but
really not that much. I
all of
mean,
the countries we've been, they like, I would say, like very very safe.
yeah.
And one moment I remembered right now, it's not like kind of scary, more like a funny moment, but there was at the time we for 1 second we had this scary sensation. So it was Nepal, I think, and the guy we just met on the street invited us to his house,
Oh yeah.
and we've been there for a while, and he was kind of talking to us, and all of a sudden, like, all of the people started to coming in, like the brothers, sisters, all of the family, and we were like already like kind of, maybe we would love to leave. And he started to showing us pictures of his friends, like all foreigners.
Yeah, the guy was like, I have friend like
Oh,
the guy was deaf and mute. Yeah, so
right,
was
okay.
writing.
it's crazy that we ended up actually in his house because he just I mean it all started because I was taking pictures at a barber shop because I was like I like the way barbershops were like in Nepal, in India, and I was doing kind of a series of pictures there, and the guy just came up. He knew the people working there. He just wrote on a piece of paper, started talking to us through writing, and we just exchanged like two or three phrases, and then he was like,
Welcome to
you
my
want to come to my house? And strangely, Yulia, like the previous day, she was saying like, I would love to see how people live here, and I would love to get inside one of their homes. So we ended up there, and it was kind of strange because he started showing us pictures on his phone, saying, "This is my French friend. This is my Australian friend." He was showing people that he had met also.
like at the same kind of situation, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there was one that had like there was someone with like a shotgun behind him on the picture, pointing at him, and the guy didn't look too happy, you know. And I'm like, what the hell is going on this picture? And he's like, no, no, nothing. He's my friend. I'm like, but why is there someone pointing a gun at him? And he's like, no, no, that's the poster behind him. And I'm like, it doesn't look like a poster, you know. It was just a strange situation. I'm sure you had a logical explanation, but it was just weird because we were also in his house and
Yeah, and
a
for
lot
some
of people
time
was
we've
coming
been
in.
trying like to, yeah, we need to go, because we
Yeah,
actually were hidden somewhere when he stopped us, and he was like, no, 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 stay. So yeah, that was funny.
yeah, he wouldn't let
Do
us
you
go.
think
Yeah, but it was just out of hospitality. The guy was super nice at the end.
do you think if you had been on holiday instead of travelling, that you would have went with him? Do you think it's a change of mindset when you're traveling instead of on holiday?
Yeah,
You open yourself up to these experiences.
definitely, definitely.
I mean, we probably would, because we're kind of this this kind of crazy people. But still, I mean, if it's just a 2 week vacation, you just do not have enough time. Like
Yeah,
one
you
year.
don't have the time for the kind of encounters.
Hmm. And like for like for me to fully experience the country, you need like kind of to at least pretend like you're a local there, and go to the like eat at the restaurants where local eat, and all we use like all kind of public transport, like buses, overnight train, like
Yeah,
everything. And there in like in trains, for example, in India, we've met so many people, and they all were so nice to us and like shared lots of experiences. And when all that local people like started to tell you things, in that moment your experience started like to change, to shift from this kind of touristic thing to
Yeah.
completely different.
So where is next for you guys then? So say, let's just pretend that the COVID restrictions are lifted. Where's next?
I don't know. We were looking at Iceland. That was looking pretty nice.
Yeah, and Indonesia, Iceland, because we would probably need somewhere to go first after Spain, because we'd probably need to spend a quarantine period of time.
Yeah, like many countries have restrictions of in case you have been in any of these countries in the 14 previous days, you cannot enter our country. And Spain is always top of the list. So Iceland didn't have this prohibition, so we thought maybe going there a couple or 3 weeks and then going off to continue with our travel, which was Malaysia and Indonesia were next on the
Yeah,
list.
we're going to Borneo
Yeah.
and Indonesia. Yeah, Australia and New Zealand. I think so for now it's impossible. Yeah.
One thing I would recommend is if you ever find yourself in Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
not that I've been, but one of my previous guests, he's a stand-up comedian
Oh yeah.
and he does comedy out in Vietnam. He's from my hometown, so if you ever get the chance, you need to go out and see some Scottish comedy in Vietnam.
That is completely bollocks. Like that's crazy. Yeah, a Scottish friend of yours is in Vietnam doing stand-up comedy. I only because of the weirdness
We
of
need
it,
to
we need
go.
to go.
I just realized that my favorite stand-up comedian is Scottish.
Yeah, yeah,
It's,
yeah. He's
Who is it?
Daniel Sloss. Yeah, you
Never
know
heard
this
him.
guy? You don't know him?
Nope, nope.
You should check it out. He's got some gigs on
like this
Netflix.
black kind of humor.
Yeah,
But
super dark humor. Yeah,
I'll have a look. That's my kind of humour.
yeah. I think that's a bit Scottish kind of humor, I would say.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, yeah, it is a compliment, definitely.
So, do you think, after your years up, you said you had plans of, settling down, having a family, that kind of thing. But do you think you'll ever stop travelling? Do you think you'll make plans to have another year of travelling? Or
See, we actually left with the open mind to actually get onto anything that the trip took us onto. As in, if we were traveling for 1 year and we were liking it a lot and we were able to make a living somehow out of the process or in any other business that we could get onto, then we would definitely continue for more months. I mean, we just left with this open mind. We didn't have like, in 12 months, we have to come back, yes or yes. So
yeah, we'll see.
so the next part of the podcast is where I would get a little question. I'd get a question from a little girl. So before I would come on any podcast, I'd tell my little girl about the people that I'm going to be interviewing, a little bit about their background, and where they are just now. And I get her to try and give me a question for each traveller or the travellers that I speak to. So after speaking to her about you guys, I was telling her that you are currently in Spain, in Barcelona. So what she was asking is, do you follow the Spanish culture? So I'm making it sound a bit more intelligent, but do you follow the Spanish culture? Of the siestas.
Yulia does.
That's part of the couple does. I really, get into this. So that's the thing I like the most about Spain. But now during the travel, I don't think I had much
No,
time
like
to.
And actually, siesta is a tradition that is in decay right now. I mean, you can do that maybe on weekends, or maybe in small villages they still do that, but these days, like, siesta is a beautiful tradition
I
that
don't know.
it's lost in time.
Ever since we're back, I'm trying to keep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's doing siesta for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, Yulia, every time I'm in Spain, I partake in a siesta. Uh, for me, it's an excuse just to get a bit more sleep. Um, right, so again, thank you for answering that for me. I'll let her know your answer. Right, so the next part, as I say, we kind of spoke about this before we come on. So this is the bit I like to call journey time, or story time, sorry, journey time.
All right.
Never called it journey time before in my
Yeah.
life. Story time. So story time, as we spoke about, I want you to tell everyone, about one place from start to finish in as much detail as possible, somewhere they need to go, through. If they're going to travel, where do they need to go?
All right, then. Okay, we can tell you guys about Myanmar, about Bagan specifically. Yeah,
Bagan is a nice place.
yeah. It is a place in the middle of Myanmar, which is, it's also called the land of the thousand pagodas, and that's because they have a thousand pagodas. It's like a huge uh, amount of terrain with a lot of pagodas all over the place, and that's because in the past, people would be kind of forced to donate money to build pagodas in there. So there's a lot of them, and it's super beautiful because it's just a really, really special place to see sunrise and sunset. And it's nice because you can see both, because it's super flat. The land is flat. There's not many mountains there, so it's very special. Also, because the land is super reddish. It has this clay color that is matched also with the pagodas that are everywhere, and that reflects the orange sunlight really well on sunrises and sunsets. So it's very beautiful to see. And also, I think it's from March till October, right?
Yeah, it's a balloon season. You need
No,
to.
October till March, actually.
I think so, but you
Yeah.
need to check it out because the balloons like what's really make it special. The place.
Yeah, it's. I think it's from October till March, and they have balloons on the sky. We went there, yeah, in March actually. So it was ending of the season, and there weren't many balloons up in the sky. But it's actually super beautiful to see the sunrise and to see the balloons floating around. And actually, I believe it was last year that most of the pagodas were still open, but some Damas tourists actually fell from the pagodas, so they closed
died.
all of them. Yeah, they broke their neck or whatever the hell they did, but they closed all of them. So most of the pagodas have only one way to go up, so there's only one place, like one door to enter, the stairs to go up, and they all have fences. And they also introduced, besides the fences, they put a lot of branches with spikes, with thorns, so you can get pretty damaged if you try to go up, huh? And we were actually searching the internet to find one to go up and enjoy the sunset and the sunrise, and actually do some nice footage with our drone. And we didn't find many, but we saw a blog where they actually had Google Maps spots to go and find really nice deserted pagodas with no one there, huh? So we went to those pagodas, and obviously they were locked, but there was a guard in one of them, and the guard actually the guard.
Suggested for a small amount of money.
Yeah,
Is it
we
doable?
we initially asked him like, can we go up? And he said no, but wait. And I was like, okay, this is a yes in his language. Eh? There was another couple that was there, and when the other couple left, he told us to enter the motorbike into the pagoda, and we actually put it behind a bush, like almost A-team like, like you're in the jungle and you're trying to hide your armor equipment. So we hid the motorbike there, and he took us through the stairs, and there was a door at the top of the stairs, so we actually had to remove the branches, yeah, and remove everything, so the entrance was free to go up. I
And
almost
at that moment, he was like, "Okay, like pay now."
Yeah, he was asking us for money, so we actually committed the mistake to pay before
Upfront.
actually having fulfilled the whole service. So we started going up the stairs, and the door was locked, and we asked him, okay, so where are you gonna unlock the door? Obviously we thought he had the keys, so he said he had the keys at home, so we had to go through a really small space in between the door and the ceiling to actually go up to the pagoda. And while we were there, he was telling us to hush the whole time because there was a bigger pagoda nearby, and he said that police would come to the pagoda. So we were there hiding and trying to enjoy the sunset, and it was a thrilling experience that
And
one.
when he was at some point, he was like, "Okay, wait 10 more minutes, and then you can go like further up. We
Yeah.
can go further up." And we're like, "Okay," like kind of climbing the pagoda. Yeah, and at some point we realized that the guy is not there anymore, that he's long gone.
He just left us there by ourselves, huh?
And I would say that was the moment I felt like maybe I would rather not. No, because Myanmar is still like a country where maybe you'll prefer not to do
Stuff like
illegal
this.
things.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I mean, I, for instance, thought for some seconds that the guy may have left to actually come back with police, to actually oblige us to bribe the police to let us go free, in order for him to get a cut of that. So it was a pretty intense sunset.
Yeah, but that was fun experience. We did it like the whole way back ourselves, and I was like, should we put all the branches?
Yeah, we placed the branches back into its place that were blocking the entrance, and we just got on the electric motorbike, and we just left riding into the sunset.
But even though you decide not to do all that stuff, Pagana is really still a really pretty place to go.
Don't climb the pagodas.
Yeah, it just doesn't proceed at all. You can still enjoy the sunsets and sunrise. Yeah, it's very beautiful. Very beautiful. They're a very special place.
Well, thank you very much for taking us on that journey.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's definitely somewhere that's on my bucket list. But I think I'll need to wait a bit longer. The food's horrendous.
The food is really, really bad there.
Food is not the best part.
Seriously.
Especially if you're coming from Thailand.
Yeah. Thai food is amazing. They have like such a vast amount of dishes and variety of foods, flavors, and spices, ingredients. And then you go to Bhutan, to Myanmar, and the food is like they cannot cook. Like nobody teaches them how to cook.
Yeah. And what about your drone? So I've got a drone here. I've got a DJI Spark.
Oh yeah.
So what is the legislations like? Do you have to be careful when you're out and about with your drone? Or
you definitely have to be careful. We saw some. We got in trouble in India, and we saw someone also getting in trouble in Nepal with the drone.
So it's a handy tool to have with you, but obviously, you just got to be careful with how you use it.
Yeah, I mean, in big government places or anywhere that has any military residence complex or anything military surrounding the place, don't fly it. Obviously, I'm saying something pretty logic, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next part is normally like a quick fire question part, but because because I've got a travel couple, um, what I did with the last guys is that I got one of yous to go away,
Okay.
one of yous to answer the questions, and then the other one would come back and try and guess the answers that were given. All right. So I'll let yous decide. You know who goes away and who's answering the questions and who has to guess the right answers.
All right. So you're gonna ask a bunch of questions. One of us leaves, and then
Yep.
comes back and guesses the other answers, huh?
Guesses the answers given to me. Yep.
All right.
Okay, I'll go.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Bye. All right.
Right. Okay.
Go for it.
So, Nacho, your hometown.
Barcelona.
Okay. So, when you're traveling, what must you have with you? What's your travel essential?
Camera.
Okay. What's your favourite food?
Oh, pizza.
Pizza. Any specific pizza?
Come again? Any specific pizza?
Yep.
I would say Parmigiano.
Okay. Favourite country?
Spain.
You can't say Spain. You're from Spain.
Oh yeah, I just did say Spain. No, I would say maybe Thailand. I loved it a lot. Thailand.
Thailand. So, how do you relax when you're traveling?
Oh, we actually watch a movie.
Okay. Who's your favourite artist, or
And
what's your favourite song?
favorite song? Good question. Favorite song? I would say. Um, I I have a lot of songs that I like, but one that just popped into my head is "What I Got" from Sublime.
All right. And what was your favourite artist?
As in singer or band?
Yeah.
I would say The Doors, for example.
Okay. The Doors. Favourite drink?
Favorite drink? Uh, I like, if we're talking about cocktails, Negroni.
What was that?
Negroni.
Negroni.
Negroni. Yeah, it's a cocktail.
Okay.
It's
Favourite movie?
Old Boy.
Old Boy.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a sick movie.
yeah. South Korean movie. Park
Very good twist, though.
the director. Yeah.
Very
Did
good
you see
twist.
the American version or the Korean version?
I've only seen the American version. I've not seen the Korean one.
Yeah, watch the Korean one.
All right. Okay. I'll give it a bash. Favourite TV show or season?
Oh, I would say Ozark.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Have you finished season 3?
Yeah. Yeah,
Cliffhanger.
we enjoyed it a lot. Very good.
I'll
Very
not
good.
spoil it for anyone, but at the end when they got off that plane and that happened, couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it has so many twists, but they all make sense. Like you compare it to other series where they just have too many twists in the plot and it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Or it goes too off the main theme. but they're actually keeping it up for now. Yeah.
And last of all, can you speak any other languages?
Yeah. Spanish, Catalan, Italian, French. I can speak some and understand. Portuguese, I speak Portuñol perfectly. So, like, I can definitely make myself understand and understand Brazilians or Portuguese. And I gave it a go with Russian, but it's quite complicated. But I'm gonna learn it. That's one of my objectives in life, to learn Russian.
So we've got Spanish, Catalan, Italian, French, Portuguese, English, and Russian.
Yeah.
Perfect. Right, bring her back.
I don't know if
And if
she's.
she's been listening, we'll know.
I don't think she's speaking. 1 second. Yulia. You know, it would have been fun to actually make all of the answers up, so she wouldn't she wouldn't get it right.
I still might not. We'll see how it goes.
Right, so we're going to mark you out of 10. So there's 10 questions.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we need some dramatic music here. Like,
All right.
Yulia, question 1. Where's Nacho's hometown?
Oh, this one is easy. Barcelona.
Okay. When he travels, what is his must-have item? What has he always got to have with him? His essential item.
Camera, drone, whatever. It's taking pictures stuff.
I'll give you a camera. Favorite food? What's his favorite food?
Oof, so many. I don't know. We just like to eat. Thai food, I would say.
Oh
You know it. Second one.
Second, pizza.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah.
no. His favorite country that he's travelled to.
Oof. Also, so many favorites. I'll go with Thailand again. Maybe this time I'll
Yeah.
Hey, good one. Yeah.
give something to it. Not food.
So when you are travelling, what is his favourite way to relax?
Chill with some way. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
how? The question is how.
How to chill?
Exactly.
No, just to stay in one of those
How much?
chill beds. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good way.
No, that's the way.
Nope.
Okay. What is it then?
I said watch a movie.
Wow, watch a movie.
But the hammock one is actually better. Actually, now that I think of it.
He changed his mind, so I still get it, right?
Stop trying to help her. Right, I'll let you pick from this one, right? So you can either pick a favourite song or his favourite artist. You can pick.
I can pick, I don't know, David Bowie, something.
David Bowie? No.
No, I didn't know.
Nope.
Song.
What's happening? You're slipping away now. You were doing so well.
I don't know. I give up.
Favourite drink?
Favorite drink? Like an alcoholic drink? Or just... Yeah? Okay, he's giving me some...
No, I said yes. An alcoholic drink? I said yes.
Alcoholic drink.
Don't look at me. I'm not gonna give you. I'm not gonna give you.
I don't know. Guys, help me out.
What cocktail do I always order?
Oh, it's cocktail thing.
Yeah.
And then it's Negroni.
All right.
Yep. Although you got that one with a little bit of help.
Yeah. I give her a month.
What's Nacho's favourite movie?
Old Boy.
Oh, right away.
Yeah,
This is
this one I've told her a billion times and we haven't watched it together yet. So
What was the artist?
Favorite?
I said the Doors.
It's not your favorite artist.
Yeah, I enjoy them a lot.
You never listened to the Doors.
I'm not causing an argument.
We're gonna cause a divorce here.
Okay. Next
So Nacho's favorite TV show.
TV show. Oh, the last we saw together and we really enjoyed it. That was Ozark. Yeah, we really like this one. It's never, because like others, then the next season comes. It's always a bit of your worry a little bit if they will still be good enough. And the Ozark like never disappoint.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, now as it stands, right, you have 6 out of 9.
Oof.
Okay. Now last week's couple, I don't want to put any pressure on. Last week's couple got 7 out of 10.
Oh.
So you need this one to draw. Now,
I know.
the question I asked Nacho is, can you speak any other languages and what are they?
Okay,
Right,
yeah, he definitely can. He speaks lots of languages. He speaks Catalan, Spanish,
Yep,
English,
yep.
Italian,
Uh-huh.
and then French.
Mhm.
And then he thinks that he can speak Portuguese, that's not true.
Portugal.
And he can speak a bit of Russian. I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 7 languages. There you go.
Seven
So it's a
out of 10.
tie.
All right. No, Thai.
need to get the-
Thai. Sorry.
I'll need to get you on with Country Diggers and have a battle out or something to determine a true winner.
Yeah.
I'll put you on the leaderboard, so tie
Right.
at the top.
All right.
I'm going to have to make a leaderboard now.
Did you get anyone with 10 out of 10 or 0 out of 10?
You're an Excel whiz. You can make me a spread. You can make me a spreadsheet, and I'll keep that updated. So listen, guys, that's everything I have to go through with you today. I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your days to come and speak to me. To come on the Static Traveller podcast, it really has been a pleasure speaking to yourselves.
It was all your pleasure, James.
Yeah, we're really.
No, I'm
Wow.
kidding. No, it was our pleasure,
That's
definitely.
it.
Thank you very much for having us on your super podcast, and it was nice, man, to speak with you and to actually meet you. So thanks a bunch, and
Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us. We're really.
No, thank you very much. And listen, we'll need to get you back on in the future once all these restrictions are lifted and you can do more travelling. And I'm sure you'll have a lot more stories for us to tell, or a lot more stories for us to listen to.
yeah.
But listen, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you? All your handles and things like that. Where can people follow your story?
We have 2 Instagram accounts. One is Yulia's, which is the yoga related one. It's Yulia Yogi.
Yeah, if you want to practice yoga with me,
Yeah,
come along.
Yulia with Y and Yogi
With
with
Y.
YODI. And then we have the other one, which is the travel related one, is Yulia and Nacho. Nacho like the chip.
Lots of beautiful pictures there from our journey, and some funny stories too.
Absolutely, and I'll share all of that in the comments below, in the description below. Sorry, so anyone that wants to find their stuff, I'll all be there available for you to have a look at. And as I seen on some of your posts that you have done some giveaways and things like that before. Is that right?
Yeah,
That you have sent some souvenirs to people and things like
we've
that.
done like 1 or 2. Yeah.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that, everyone, because you never know. You get the chance maybe in the future.
Yeah, we don't give away PlayStations or TV, like LCD flat screen televisions or anything like that. It's more postcards and some small souvenirs. But yeah, just to
Perfect. If you ever feel like it, you can always send me some here.
All right.
But listen, no, guys, listen. Thank you very much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Like I say, everyone, if you can go along and follow Yulia and Nacho, all their details will be in the description below. Remember as well, and follow the Static Traveller podcast. And if you're interested in coming on the podcast, just send me a DM in any of the formats on Facebook or Instagram. I'm slowly getting the episodes up to YouTube now as well. It takes a little bit longer to get all that together, so they will be available soon. So all of my media follows the same handle, so it's the Static Traveller. So remember, give us a like on Facebook, give us a follow on Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube. But listen, guys, thank you very much for coming on today. And until the next time, you keep travelling, and I'll stay static.